The Renaissance, Sir Francis Bacon, Part 12, Idols of the Theater, Professor Michael Botwin, Department of Psychology, California State University, Fresno. The tendencies towards intellectual error, based on things one has learned in the past, are the basis for Francis Bacon's Idols of the Theater. If you remember in our initial discussion of Francis Bacon, he was not pleased with the faculty at Trinity College at Cambridge, where he learned as a student, because he thought his faculty members were wedded to the dictums of their dictator, Aristotle, who he deemed as not a great guy. So if one is making idols of the theater, they have a blind allegiance to a point of view. And over my time as an academic, I've seen many individuals have blind allegiance to their paradigm, to their discipline, things like that. And they don't look critically at what's going on with those areas of study. You may find, for example, a behaviorist who is totally wedded to behaviorism, and that's the only way that they will look at life. My mentor, the late Max Brill, who was one of my professors at Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan, was a staunch behaviorist. Some people have pictures around their house of family and friends. Old Max had pictures of Skinner and him around the house. And that worked out well for me, because when I was a graduate student, Max got me an audience with Skinner at an APA conference, which we'll talk about much later in class. But Max was totally wedded to behaviorism. At one point in time, when I told him I was accepted for doctoral work at the University of Michigan, Max said, go get your fancy degree from Michigan, and then go get a second doctorate from Western Michigan University and learn some real psychology. Western Michigan is one of the foremost bastions of behavioral psychology. So, interesting premise with that. Don't blindly follow a view. When you are committing errors due to the idol of the theater, it usually has to do with prior learning and being dogmatic. Now, being dogmatic can happen in a variety of ways. You can be stuck in a philosophy, a theology. You might follow a tradition and you might ignore new ways of looking at things. So you have to be very aware of how your past learning may bias future learning from a point of view of the idols of the theater. Now, experimentation, Bacon is using not in the context that we currently use it as one of the subcategories of the theater idol. He's basically saying that we must do experiments that aren't based on dogmatism or rigidity, but we have to make sure that anything that we learn ultimately can be verifiable by the senses. He also places into this category superstition, and by superstition Bacon includes religious or authoritarian beliefs. So he viewed religion as primarily superstitious, and we have to be careful how we accept religious views, because, well, frankly, they may not fit in with the current world, or they may be so dogmatic that they make life miserable for people. So, we've gotten through 3 of the idols. We have the last idol to get to, and then we're done with Bacon. See you next time in the history of psychology. Bye now. This has been a We Have Couches video production. Copyright 2020. Professor Michael Botwin. All rights reserved.